the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you guys a bit of a review video on a product from Dometic. So this here is Dometic Club Air Pro range. So it kind of takes over from Camper. So in 2020 we saw kind of Camper Dometic being dual branded on a product. Now we've shifted on to 2021. Going forward, we're looking at Dometic and its standalone brand. It's still basically Camper, just with a nice shiny new badge on the end of it. And all the whole kind of ethos and the way it looks and the way it's been designed, it's still very much camper based, and it's just kind of Dometic's going to be that sort of new brand that kind of is essentially the sort of brand everyone goes to for kind of the inflatable awning market these days. So it just supersedes Camper because Dometic's a bit more global, whereas Camper's more UK based. So in terms of their kind of big global strategy, you know, Dometic's the brand they want to put forward, and it's what we're going to see. But at the end of the day, it's still what we know and love. It's just slightly different. So with the Club, it's something we've seen new for the last couple of years, and it's been really, really popular in terms of size. It's that kind of more traditional kind of caravan style look, but the fact you've got a slightly deeper depth. So it's 2.75 meters outwards, and you've got a nice big flat panel front, so it feels actually bigger than slightly 2.75, which again makes a big, big difference. So going forward to 2021, what we see happening is they've got various different sizes. So not only have we got a 260, which is a new size, we've now got a 330, 390, and a 450. So essentially the 330 and 390 are ones we've seen in previous years. The new size of the 260, something small, compact, and actually to be fair, it's deeper than it is wide, so it's brilliant for those small caravans who want a bit more depth. It works like a treat. Alternatively, the 450 size has been sort of reduced down to a 440. The reason being is this same model now will fit a caravan or a motorhome. So you haven't suddenly got to buy a motorhome version of what you like here. The same model will fit both heights. And they've been very, very clever. So the reason you got that sort of 450 is because it'll fit in a 4.5 meter cassette. So there's an adjustment system on the side which allow it to sort of either be in the true kind of caravan style height where we've got 235 to 250, or alternatively there's a little zip that runs down the side of the panel itself on each end that will essentially give you a little wedge, it extended up, and then suddenly you're looking at it goes up to 265. So you've got a single awning here that will fit anything from a normal caravan or a small motorhome to a slightly taller motorhome. So they've managed to reduce essentially 3 products into one. So more choice for motorhomes, easy to fit, and you don't get confused as well. So that's one of the big, big things. Now, not only that, you find that they do different heights as they did with motorhomes. So if you've got a caravan, all you need to worry about is you need to make sure it has an S on the end of it. So it's a Club Air Pro 390S or 440S, because that's going to fit you. It's also going to fit lower profile motorhomes. They then do an M size, which will fit from 265 to 295. Again, it's that sort of much taller motorhome. Certainly for the UK market, you don't really tend to get anything bigger than that. And then for the really big homes that you sort of, I don't know, see in sort of US, they then got an L size. Now, this is only available in the 390 size, and it'll fit anywhere from 295 up to 325. So it's a really nice big size bracket, but mass majority of people are going to go for the S. With kind of Dometic, what you get is that single point inflation. So you've got one point located bang in the middle, so you've pumps it up and the air distributes itself through the internal taps, which we'll come to in a second. But for packing away, you've got little sort of deflation taps on the bottom of every single beam, so it's much easier to get it away. And again, with this kind of more traditional kind of look, you've got this little inflatable canopy that comes out. It means you've got better coverage on the front panel, so you can drop this down a little bit, have a bit of airflow, and not have to worry about the wind or the rain dropping and coming in. That real flat front, as we'll see as we go inside, really helps to kind of, you know, make it feel a lot deeper than it actually really is. It means you can put furniture and things much closer to the edges. It uses kind of their Pro fabric, so it's their probably longest standing fabric, designed ideally for touring use. So it's sort of quite, you know, it's durable but also not too heavy. If you like the look of this, you can also get an all-season version. So they do an all-season version of the Club in a 330 and a 390. So again, if you want something that's a bit more robust, or want something that's a bit more breathable, have it on for longer pitch times, or it's maybe worth looking to step up a little bit to kind of the all-season version. But in essence, this works really well. The front 2 panels and the front 2 and the side panels can be completely removed. What this helps to do is make it much easier when you're threading it into the rail, takes the weight out of it as well. Personally, what I also would do is, if you do want to do something like that, remove the front and the sides, put them in a separate bag with like the pump, your pegs, anything that you can sort of removed from it then means you've got two slightly lighter bags rather than one big heavy bag. And again, it means it's more manageable and easier to store around the caravan. You've got these additional parts you can zip onto either side, so you can either have a right-handed or a left-handed sort of canopy, or as we've seen before, extensions. So it's almost like an enclosed room, which we'll show you a bit later on in the video as well. The joys of these is you sort of pick and choose what you go for. So now this really nice new sun canopy works really seamlessly. It zips onto the side as well, so you can put it on or put it down as you want it to. It gives you the flexibility that in theory, because it freestands, like the sort of extension was, you can actually take it past the caravan. So in theory, you can have an awning bigger than your caravan. The extension's got this sort of a front door as well, because you enter in the front there, and it's like perfectly kind of the wet, sort of dry storage area. So somewhere you can go out of cover, take your shoes off, take your coats off, leave it in there, and then enter your main body. One thing to mention is, even though for the 2021 season with Dometic, the extensions that previous year's models, so anything pre-2021 won't fit the 2021 model. So for going forward, you see the awning, you buy the extensions, perfectly fine, it's all compatible. If you want to buy the sun canopy or the extension for the old club, either a 19 or a 20 model, it won't actually fit. So sort of Camper are being a bit more cunning about that and looking to produce more sort of extensions just to make sure that people who bought the awning this year don't lose out next. And that's kind of one of the things that, it's one of those things to bear in mind if you are looking to ever buy an extension. I would certainly buy it sort of sooner rather than later. You've got beautiful big crystal clear PVC windows to get plenty of light in as well, but then you've got sort of traditional style caravan curtains to get the privacy as you want to. Vent panels in the top, but all around it sits really nicely. You've got these nice strong sort of webbing straps, so you can get the perfect amount of tension. And you can, if you wanted to, you can buy additional storm straps, which I would highly recommend, just to give a bit different bracing across the width. You also got a little toggle point on here, so there's little clips, so you can actually put their kind of pro windbreak around. So if you want to create that little enclosure around the front, and you can probably see it from our previous videos in over years, where we've got a really nice big air brake right on the front here, helps to really enclose it and create a bit more of a bit more of outside seating area away from the shelter. Plus, you haven't got the hassle of poles. Other things to mention as well is that you've got a zip running on top here, so you can actually buy a canopy. And in our showroom, we actually have the awning, the windbreak, and the canopy all set up. So you've got almost like your sort of internal sort of living area, your kind of sheltered area with a canopy over the top. So if it winds or rains, you've still got coverage from both sides, but still got a bit of airflow coming through. But let's have a look inside the club and talk for a few more features that it has to offer. So now inside the club, you can't get a bit more of an idea for the sheer amount of space in here. So that sort of 275 deep makes this absolutely massive. And what it really does help to do is almost take you a little bit further away from the door on the caravan. So it means you have your tables and chairs that much closer to the front panel. And again, it means that when you step out, you're not suddenly straight away encroaching on all of your sort of living area stuff. You've got a nice area, you step out, plenty of room, have a table and chairs in the evening, and you can go nip in and out quite happily. One thing else you can see is kind of the beautiful big crystal clear windows we've got in here, so you've got really great visibility throughout the actual awning itself. Again, when you want that sort of level of privacy, you've got this kind of traditional style caravan curtains built in there, so you can sort of just pull those across, tuck those in a little bit of cord just to keep it really nice and tight to the fabric. So just keeps it nice and tight, and you get that really nice level of privacy. Again, when you don't want to do that, what you can do is literally it will happily just kind of untoggle, and it goes in this little clip system just around here. So it's much easier if you're not sort of the best with sort of fingers. Push button, nice and neat to go. So again, we've known that from sort of the camper awnings in the past, it carries forward into Dometic. As we saw on the outside, you've got a 1-point inflation. So the air basically comes in here, goes up, and then distributes itself through the valves at the top here. So it all means that you've got a single point inflation, but each beam can then be isolated via these individual taps. So suddenly every one beam is individual. If you had an issue, you just like a sort of inner tube or bike tire, just unzip that out, get down to the actual sort of outer sleeve, into the bladder, patch repair or remove or replace it if need be. So it's a really nice system. It's something Camper have run with for many, many years, and that doesn't change at all. You've got increased ventilation, so really nice big ventilation panels up top here, and that's going to help with the airflow. What you also find is that you do suffer from a lot of condensation in these kind of awnings because the material is so waterproof. It doesn't breathe, so what you find is that circulation is the key factor. There's a new ventilation system on the top as well that always remains open, again to help with that circulation of air. What it also means is actually it narrows the kind of cadle width down a little bit, so you haven't got this suddenly this big kind of curve around the side. It's quite neat, it's quite trim. It means you've got more flexibility in where you can put it in many ways. Other things to bear in mind is the fact that you've got things like little Velcro tabs here, which will happily take a Saberlight 150. So you can have internal lighting in the awning and not have to worry about kind of a little crappy one you get on pre-fitched on the caravan itself. Other things, there's a new thing for 2021, is there's now the ability to put a veranda pole in. So the veranda pole works really smart. You can just literally pop it in either side, one size fits all, so it can go anywhere from sort of a little 2-meter panel all the way up to, as we can see here, the 440. So, and it gives you the ability of actually, as I say, creating that sort of either unzipping that over, flopping that side over, or alternatively, if you want to be kind of a bit more clever about it, what you can also do as well is almost take it kind of down to wherever you want to go to. Almost get the fabric, first I think probably better on the underneath side. All fingers and thumbs. And then all you do is just roll the fabric around. So then you can just slot it in the end. And so you've got that sort of randle without having to worry about it. Again, if you do a bit of a neater job, 2 people, it means you've got that sort of airflow out there without having to worry about it as well. What you can also do is a secondary zip located in here as well. So you can have a mesh panel in place at the same time. As having, you might have to fold the fabric in half to get the mesh panel in place, but it allows ventilation in, and because you've got a little canopy at the front, you haven't got to worry about the water coming directly down and in. So again, one of those big things, and the mesh panels come as a pair. And we've got a separate video about all the little extras you can get for the camper model, and that's not really much change. So again, joys is, you can get things like the carpets, the rear pads and poles and things like that. So do check out the video if you want sort of know how you can almost, the things that are essential and the things that you maybe might not know you needed. One thing to mention certainly for 2021 is now, because this kind of fits a caravan and a motorhome, they no longer come with a draft skirt. So a draft skirt would now be an optional extra, as well as the poles at the back, which were an optional extra for the caravans, but again for the motorhomes you have to buy those individually. One thing you can't get away from is the sheer amount of internal height in here. I'm about 6'2", and I'm nowhere near the top of that. That's the thing, and that really helps to make it feel bigger than, like I said, it actually is. Those sort of space and feeling, I suppose that sort of not claustrophobia kind of style, but when walls are closer to you, even though it might be, down low, might be the same depth, you don't get that sort of thing. When it's kind of very much away, you feel like you're acres of room in here. Admittedly, obviously it's the 440 size, the biggest model going, but it still doesn't help to make it feel, really nice and spacious. There's additional things you can look at, also things like roof linings as well to help with the condensation. It doesn't alleviate it, but it certainly does help. And you can also get bedrooms to go inside of here, so it's really nice and versatile. Other things, because the panels on the side can be completely removed, like we said, to sort of reduce the weight. You can also buy additional load of annexes or conservatories or tall annexes that can go in either way. So if you don't want to go to the full extension, having a really big extension put on either side, which again, from a price point of view, can be a bit costly, but you sort of do get that sort of external-internal space divide, works nicely as well. This just gives that sort of flexibility that you can sort of pick and choose what you like and what you don't like, or what extras you want to kind of commit to. You've got this foam pad at the back here to sort of push the pole, which will be an optional extra again against the caravan to try and get you sort of a better seal. And again, you've got kind of limpets, so you can put a little suction on there to get that, again, all that tighter seal. Personally, I've seen them working better in conjunction with one another. So pole for strength and for sort of torsion, limpets to help seal. So again, and it also takes a little bit of the pressure and the weight off the limpets. But one of the things, like I said, is the groundbreaking thing for 2021 is the fact that now you've got the multiple height scenario. So one model fits several different vehicles. Now, the way this is done, so now I'm currently in caravan mode, if you will. There's actually a very, very subtle zip that runs directly above the curtain rail. Now, you've got internal zip and external zip. So if, for example, we're on a motorhome or I'm on uneven ground and this is sinking away and I want to make that a bit tauter, rather than relying on the peg and ladders, all you can do is simply unzip that section. You see there's an extra fold of fabric. So then that kind of comes down, undo this Velcro. So there's a sort of a double reinforced Velcro there, suddenly then that can drop down, or in that case, drop up. So you see how much you gain. So that gives you an extra 15 centimeters of difference. Now, we've got some examples around kind of the show we're at now, where we've got like one side of the awning is at sort of caravan height, so about 235, and the other is at 265. So you've got this massive difference in terms of, you know, sort of size from one side to another. That was one of the big sort of criticisms a little bit of there, is that you haven't got that adjustment, but now you have, and that's where suddenly it becomes a lot more versatile. And again, it just means that you can pretty much kind of create, you've got one awning which does everything, which makes fitting it a lot easier, but also it then finds it's generally sits a bit nicer. And again, most people for the mass market was going to be going through, which would be the caravan market, you're not really going to use this feature. It's only if you probably want a little bit more extra space, and that zip's still nice and neat and waterproof. It almost acts like a bit of a gutter in many ways. But said overall, really positive model, something we've seen being really popular in many seasons for design. The fact that you now have got these little quirky little things like the veranda pole, the difference in heights, obviously the additional canopies you can buy on the side works really, really nicely. One final point I will make is that the side panels can actually interchange. So as you can see here, we've got the mesh door, the normal door towards the back of the caravan, and then a nice PVC window. If we were to change that panel with that panel, suddenly the door will flip away from this side, and actually the one panel which we've got rolled away at the moment actually has a mesh window in there, as well as a normal kind of PVC that rolls away. So you've got lots of flexibility that you can always have mesh door, mesh ventilation, mesh at the top, and then if you want to, you can buy additional mesh panels to go in the front. So having that sort of airflow works really nicely. And again, you create this almost gazebo kind of effect by removing all of the panels, just to give you a bit of sun shelter, but you know, again, not being too bulky with the pack size. But yeah, that's kind of our little video review on the Dometic Club. If you want more information, by all means check the link below, take you directly through to our website with all our current prices, as well as things like the sizing, the spec, the pack weights, pack sizing, that sort of stuff. So all the information is there ready for you. So by all means check out our own pitching and packing video as well. We've done, so I pitched this model on my own, the best part of about 10-11 minutes. So it means that one person can do it quite simply and quickly, for that matter, which is the key thing when you want to go away. You don't want to be driving the best part of an hour, 2 hours down to wherever you're going to find that you've then got to spend another hour and a divorce later putting up the awning. So that's where that makes a lot more sense. But yeah, let us know what you think as well. Comment in the box below. But yeah, that's our little video review on the new Dometic Club Air range in the 260 size, 330, 390, and then the 440, which I'm in now.